Okay, so it's still under heavy development, but it's mostly more or less feature complete, at least in the fundamentals. Maybe a little bit polishing here and there, but I'm pretty happy with it. But even so, now's a good enough time to do a quick demo of the Wibble React kind of GUI viewer, the front end. So, you know, if you've seen the other videos or you know about Wibble, it's basically a command line wiki notes tool. But one of the facilities it has is the ability to serve those notes to a graphical front end via a kind of JSON server. So let's go ahead and do that. So I need to kind of set up some easy install scripts to make it straightforward for people to use, because at the moment I'm using a kind of tmux script, because essentially, basically, we have the Wibble command line application that's running a kind of mini web server, effectively serving the JSON requests, like a REST client, I should say, and then the React client is obviously talking with that, and then we have because obviously I didn't want to re-implement an entire web server, and because React apps are unable to, for security purposes, unable to display or access file local images, for example, it necessitates that you also run a little local kind of web server like npm serve or something like that, just purely so that we can view images. So there's a tiny little bit of setup, so I'll probably try and create some kind of all-in-one kind of config stroke installers to make it easy for people, rather than them having to go and often get npm serve and execute that, and then you know, having to execute these things. But anyway, let's just go ahead and demonstrate the GUI in action. I'll worry about kind of making it a bit easier, a more convenient distribution in due course. So let's start up all the necessary bits. So start up the Wibble GUI. So we've got the Wibble GUI, the Wibble server running on this port. We've got the npm serve, npx serve is kind of on this port here, and we have the React app running. So now if we go in our web browser and open up the main Wibble GUI under localhost 3000 Wibble, so you'll know I need to come up with a nice little icon to replace that generic React one, but in due course. You get this kind of main menu here. So as you can see, you can either search all your notes, view a graph of your notes, or view some statistics. So let's go straight into searching. Let me resize this window, just so no one's interested in the stuff at the bottom there now. So if we go ahead and search, it's pretty much equivalent to the command line interface, but just obviously in a nice web form here. So we can, for example, let's say we wanted to bring up all the notes with the title Wibble in. I can do that, and we get a nice convenient display of all the notes that match that search term. Now you can see that these are actually org mode files, and they're all being properly rendered, courtesy of this nice org mode rendering library that someone took a lot of trouble to write in JavaScript. If we if we compare it with the source, so if I go with the original plain text file, the org mode text file, this is kind of heretical, because to do it from the terminal, people will be saying, oh, why don't you just open it in Emacs? Well, I could do. I'm already in Emacs. I'm in EXWM here, so my setup. But let's do Wibble search title. In fact, I have this as a bookmark because I've been using it so often. So Wibble improvements to do. The old VMware. I've got it already open. Let's show a different one. See, it's always I've got it open on some other buffer here. So I mean, I probably could find that actually. Wibble, always the way, isn't it? Never mind. Let's show a different one. Wibble note schemas, I'll do. So if we do Wibble search title Wibble notes, you can see that we have the here's the nicely rendered org mode file, and here is the source org mode file under Vim. So org mode being rendered under Vim. That is basically a bunch of org mode rendered notes. You can see that it's also here at the bottom. Any of the other associated data, the kind of linked files and the contents of the data directory, all of that information is also displayed here as well. So we can see that we have this linked file here, and we can see that we have these couple of screenshots and some other things in there. So that's all there. Now each note also has these 4 convenient buttons here, so you can immediately get the let's say for example we wanted to directly edit this note again. I could just do that, paste it into my terminal, and there we go. And for the Emacs purists, they'll be happy to see that the org mode note has now been opened in Emacs, not Vim. So heretical, I know, to combine both Emacs and Vim, but there you go. That's me. So that's that. Let's kill that one. So we have these 4 note buttons here. So you know, as well as the copying the editing command, we can copy the note file path if we want to kind of like you know, that's the file content there. So if we have a data directory, we can copy the path to that. So you know, that's kind of showing. We'll do one more search, or a couple more. We can obviously search by any of these fields, and if you do a search for, say, the file type, it's going to bring up all of those kind of matches. So let's do a search for all of the markdown files, and yeah, it brings up basically all of them. And again, the markdown files are nicely rendered as well, so that's nice. All properly rendered. We can do a search for ASCII doc files, which are the kind of other main kind of markdown type kind of how should I describe it? It's the other type of very lightweight markup kind of format that's brilliant for kind of dealing with plain text and transforming it into whatever you like, whether that be a web page or a fully like an EPUB for a book, or a PDF, or even a scientific paper if you eventually via LaTeX, something like that. But anyway, this is ADoc. Again, that's nicely rendered. So yeah, that's basically gives you a really nice way of viewing your files. And someone might say, oh, but how do I edit it here? Well, you can't. And I think as a design decision, I'm not going to put in some basic web editor, or even a heavyweight like a Monaco component, like kind of basically the VS Code kind of editor. You can embed it in a web app, because just why would you? The whole point is it's so easy to take your source code file by copying the link and then open it in your proper editor, whatever your proper editor of choice is. You know, here we go. So really, yeah, why would we deal with a second-class editor in a web browser when we have our native proper editors? It's like we'll edit it with the real thing. One last example. Let's show some images. So that's the reason why this npm server is running here. It's because if you have any images, say as attachments in your node data directory, you know, you can make them render by using the appropriate syntax in your org mode or markdown or ASCII doc file. So I think if I do a search for screenshots, that'll bring up. Here we go, screenshots of computing setup. So here you go, some Emacs EXWM loveliness for those of you that are into Emacs land. So the images will render properly as well. So that's basically your search facility. go back to the main menu. Then we have the graph and the stats. Well, we'll look at the graph last. So the stats just shows you some basically the same information you get from the Wibble tool stats command. You know, if you remember, if you Wibble tool Z, you get this information here, and you get it in some nice chart.js breakdowns here, including, you know, you can view this tag breakdown. So you can see I've got at the moment 36 notes tagged with Linux. Now someone might be saying, oh, hang about, this guy, he's only got, the guy that's written this software still only has, you know, X number of notes. And well, yes, because basically the tool has been, I've been writing the tool over the last month or two, so about the last month. So clearly, given that the tool has been under heavy development, I haven't yet migrated everything into it, and I've been too busy writing it to do so, and things have been changing. But now things are kind of stable and settled and stable. Yeah, I'm basically in the process of migrating everything into it. So hopefully, by next year, I'll have hundreds of notes in here, and probably by the end of next year, I'll have thousands. And so this will be my permanent go-to solution for everything now, with it being note agnostic. In regards to the agnosticism, if I can use that term, of the tool, I kind of did mention in the extended video that you can easily integrate it with something like Org Roam, for that wonderful, wonderful tool. And also, if you use Org Roam, you probably know about Org Roam UI, which is that beautiful visualization tool. But anyway, basically, here's an example of using it with Org Roam. So I have, this is a note that I originally created with Wibble, but you can see and access it immediately from Org Roam as well. And just to show you how simple that is to do, if I go to my main Wibble directory and I do the, let's say notes, you can see there the org directory is actually a symbolic link to this Emacs org wiki Wibble directory. So it's pointing to the where I store all of my org mode files for Org Roam. So whenever I create a Wibble note, it ends up under there, and Org Roam sees it as well. So the only thing to remember, again, see the extended video, but is make sure you create the note in Wibble. That way Wibble knows about it, and because it has that metadata header and that org mode ID, you can do the org mode db sync, and it will pick it up automatically and add it to the Org Roam SQLite database. So that's just an example of how I kind of integrate it into my Emacs workflow. So what's left? Oh, the graph. So we've looked at the we've looked at searching, we've looked at the graph, and the other main part of the tool is this graph here. So probably needs a few more bits in here, but basically it just gives you a breakdown of your entire wiki database, and I have tested it on test examples. It's still pretty perfectly usable even with like 10,000 notes. You get a little bit of a delay whilst the back end, the WebGL library that I'm using, I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but basically that has a little bit of an initial delay whilst it renders the canvas. So the data gets dumped from Wibble almost immediately, but then you have a rendering delay whilst the JavaScript library figures out how to render it for into the WebGL canvas, and then you get all your nodes, stroke notes, and it is pretty much instant to view. So you know it will probably work fine even with 100,000 nodes. Just you might have to wait 30 seconds or so in that initial render. Anyway. This graph is not yet particularly interesting because I haven't linked any set up any relationships between the notes. So if you set up relationships between notes by adding them as either sibling or children or parents, then you will get the edges showing between the relevant nodes. But because I haven't really done that yet, the graph's kind of boring. But anyway, you can obviously click on a node, and it gives you the information about it there, and you've got this key color coded, and you can click on the thing to take you straight to, oh, that one didn't work. Why didn't that work? It's bound not to work because it's a demonstration video, but that seems strange. I'll have to look into that. I probably whilst fiddling, I've broken the ID on that particular note. So let's try a different one. There we go. So that's what it should do. So some useful information about the Debian 12 installation and other bits and bobs in my notes here. So yeah, that's a demonstration of the GUI. Still, as I say, not finished yet, but mostly there. Just needs a bit of polishing. Maybe it'd be nice to have a bit of searching capability on the graph, for example. And a few more widgets, but fundamentally this is really what I want it to do. I want it to be able to just act as a graphical front-end viewer, not an editor. If I'm going to edit notes properly, I'm going to edit it using my either Vim in the terminal, just using the command line tool, or I'm going to edit it using Emacs, and I'm just going to copy and paste that editing link. It doesn't seem worth it to me to add a graphical editor into the GUI tool when clearly any web-based editor is never going to be as good as whatever your personal editor of choice is, with it being such a personal thing. So anyway, that's a quick tour of the Wibble GUI. Thank you.